Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 155 of Tactical Crouch. It's December 23rd, 2020. Kickedtripod here with Yiska and Volamel. It's kind of weird doing these one-a-week shows. Just feels like it's so long from when we get to talk. Feels like it's been weeks.
Yeah, it feels like we've been forever
it's
since
been weeks.
like
It's only been 7 days.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
what's up
used
with
to
that.
the 2 a days, and then yeah, it does feel like we've missed one or something. It's just like, oh no, what did we miss?
It's weird having time on Mondays
Mm-hmm.
to like do my job.
Partially
Yes.
the same.
It's also, wait, the 21st was, okay, I'm going to fully botch. You ready? You ready for German pronunciation of the shortest day of the year? I'm going
yeah.
to fully
Yeah.
try. I'm going to commit.
Go for
Okay.
it. Yeah.
It's winter, and then,
Mhm.
oh shit, oh damn. Oh, dude, I don't know if I can do solstice.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Solstice,
That was
yeah.
the set. Why is it not solstice or solstice?
Welcome to English.
Solstice.
Yeah. I don't know why, but it's just not.
Stolice. Solice.
Yeah.
Solstice. Yeah.
I don't know how you guys operate, but like sundowns are so important to my day that I'm really like knowing that the days now get longer made me happy.
Yeah,
Days get longer, made you happy.
I get that. I use the I forget the name of the app anymore, but it's built in now where essentially throughout the day my screen takes on the overall color tones and shades of what time of day it is so that I can like stay in there, or I can like elongate. I don't have any sun in this room. So I can like elongate my day by making it feel like sunset is at 7:30 if I want. It works. It
Very
works.
cool.
So Overwatch.
Technology, baby.
Huh?
Yeah. How about it?
Big thank you to our Patreon producers, Refine Bean, Ferdino Pin, Battlecrab Lotion, Rex Zane, Audio Compass, Kasha67, Sharp Picasso, Nathan Your Misery, Hunter Tane, Fabled Steven, Roger B, Owen Chris R3444444, Horbjorn, I listen to this podcast whilst on the toilet and in the shower thinking of Yiska, Peace Camper, Anxiety Pokemon, Sir Girthalot, Bronzebot, Boohow, Evan, and Alex S. Thanks so much for supporting the show. If you like the show and you want to support, go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. I promise we're going to get to that game night. It's been crazy. It's December.
Yeah.
Okay. It's December. Everything is crazy.
We owe you a few.
I'll straight up tell you, I'm gaming all night during this break. I already like reached out to my fellow degenerate Americans because I started playing WoW on NA, right?
Mm.
Like, of course, like my parents are divorced on this podcast, so I kind of have to level another Horde character in order to be able to play with both of you. But I'm also weirdly up to the task. I don't know, like it's good.
I'm starting to migrate. I definitely have time on my hands to, branch over. So, there's
TCP Guild. Let's go.
there's a, in the next few days, hopefully I can get my druid up.
Joe,
Hello.
how far are you into Raiden?
Not far enough. I'll tell you that. Not as far
What
as
is
I'd
it,
like to be.
410? 410?
No, we actually progressed considerably well for my boomer guild. We're
Okay.
6 out of 10 now, which I'm very proud to say, but
7
a
out
lot
of
of
10.
work still left to do. Lot of work left to do.
No, John, ask him the difficulty.
Oh, it's normal, baby.
Oh, we're doing normal. Are you kidding me? No, we
Yeah.
suck.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh God!
we
I
suck.
would've-
You guys
I
know
would
that
like for that to be
910
heroic.
is cleared,
It
right?
should be.
I mean, to be fair, when most guilds right now aren't more than 2 or 3 into heroic.
Right. Really? Wow.
No,
I mean, yeah,
yes.
he's talking
Just
like
because the top
most.
guilds are doing
Yeah.
mythic progression because they're godlike in playing.
Yeah.
Most people, so number one, like most people are finishing up clearing normal. Like that's kind of like 50th percentile for somebody who's raiding, is they're in the last third of normal somewhere. They maybe have one heroic boss down because like heroic Shriekwing is really
Shriekwing's a
easy, and you
joke.
do that
Yeah.
for your Great Vault.
Tree loot.
And then from there, like people are still progressing pretty hard in normals and like very early heroics.
Yeah, heroics tuned actually really, really, really high.
So before you get judgy here, sir.
I'm just saying, like my friend list is filled with people that are just done with mythics. Like,
I would much prefer to be progressing through heroic, but you know, got some new people, got some new WoW people. New
are they
people
new people? Are they new to the earth?
Brand new.
Or are they?
Some
soon to
people
be
I
new
would
to the
wonder.
afterlife?
I would be a little concerned that, you know, some of these people are driving, you know, cars to work every day, and then some people have taken to the game like very quickly and
Come
are
on,
excelling.
none of your guys are going to watch this podcast. Just give us the tea, dude. Just drag him.
I mean, it is a little too tangential, but you know, standing out of the fire, it's all the typical, you know, MMO, like, you know, there's a big swirly on your feet and I decide not to move. I want to finish casting that aim shot, baby. So
I was actually
casting. You don't want to like switch off to the mob because you don't want to lose that
we don't
DPS.
kick
Bro, I'm top
those.
3. I can finish on top of the charts.
backpedaling, lots of backpedaling, lots of losing themselves
Hey, there's
and
nothing wrong
mechanics,
with-
lots of
Nothing
downtime.
wrong with backpedaling. As
Dude.
long as it gets you out of it fast enough, you backpedal away. So.
Sure, go for it. You know, whatever, you know, as long as you're not wiping the raid, I don't really care exactly what you do, but could be better optimized, let's say.
dude, like we had, like in my vanilla guild, like some 15 years ago, I remember just like fuming. Me sitting there with my Excel sheets trying to figure out if it's better with my gear to arcane explosion between 2 molten giants while popping mana potions. And everyone else is just like keyboard turning and everything. And I'm like, what's going on, right? Like, and I remember having that moment where it's like, wow, one of our guild guys has an official WoW news. And my guild actually had the first WoW baby ever. And it made sense. These guys were boning during the encounter. They must have. They were playing shit enough for that to be like, like the thing. And then I will never forget. I already told Joe, like we had like 45 tries on the Nefarian. And for those that get to, and we had a mage leader, and this guy ran a magic shop. So what he would do is he would raid with us, and then when a customer came in, he would just drop everything, sell him a couple of magic packs, and would be back, right? And he was the mage class leader, and like suddenly, like random things would happen because mages would sheep random targets. And I kid you not, 45 tries, like several weeks into, like raid weeks into this encounter, he goes, guys, what's a class call? it's just come on, man. Like, why do I have to raid with 40-year-olds? And then at some point it shattered my soul and I had to upgrade. But I remember crying because I had to leave my first raiding guild behind because they were too bad. It was basically, they were shot in the jungle more than just in the leg. Probably got one in the head as well. I'm just like, I gotta leave you, man. I can't carry you out of here. Like this.
So John, you want the tea? You want a taste of my guild for a moment? There, you know the Council of Blood fight. Quickly for
That's where I got my legendary. Yeah.
Very good, very good. You know you have to do the little dance.
Shimmy left.
Yep, you know that one.
Sashay right. Yeah.
One of our priests died 6 different times because they did not understand exactly what to do during that fight. That's how, you know, that's the kind of caliber of player we're talking here. So
all right, we got him, guys. Link him up. Link him up. Put it in the guild forums.
Well, you know, that part we play a game now where we take bets on what we think the next command is going to be, and we keep like a running tally. It's like 250 gold per, so we just kind of rotate. So the next person guesses, and the next person guesses, and the next person guesses, and it's like
I wish it could be that fun.
because it's just nothing. The healers are just topping people off, and you know, all that kind of stuff.
I think we consistently have at least one person dead by that point, and then that person, it took them 6 different times to not complain about RNG and how they're not a monk, and running across the room was too much to ask.
So to be fair, unless you have warlock portals, getting to the very back of that room sucks.
Sure, I trust that everybody,
as a shadow priest,
you can make it.
I mean, I can, because as soon as
you also can spec utility.
No,
grab your feather.
Can't spec feather as shadow.
You want to die?
No, I mean,
No,
like,
you can't
you
spec it.
physically cannot spec.
I'm sure there's other mobility tools that you can spec for.
The only thing that you can do is body and soul, where you get to use your.
So then just time your power word shield to.
Well, I mean, I range the boss as much as I can while still doing damage.
Sure.
And as soon as I usually cut out like a second early and start going back a little further. We have 2 warlock portals now, but
there you go.
Been there.
That works too.
To those that have never played WoW, right, and don't really get the appeal, like downing a boss with a guild, especially, like, I remember we had 110 tries on Thaddeus, like when initially Naxxramas came out. And when we finally killed that boss, the closest metaphor is being alone, nobody's home, you have a PC, and it's the end of Not November. That's that feeling of finally killing the boss is such a release when everyone's screaming. It's one of the best experiences in gaming, to be honest. Like, especially in the 40-man raids.
Yeah, when it's hard and like you're really putting in effort for it.
I don't condone this metaphor at all.
It's good.
I was not prepped on this metaphor.
What sucks is a 40 attempts on a normal boss, and then it's really not like ecstasy. It's more of just like relief. It's like, oh, whew.
So the last time I don't know, I did competitive raiding for the last half of Cataclysm, and it was a ton of fun. And then Pandaria, I got asked to come on to a team that was supposed to be a really competitive team as well. The roster was looked like it was going to be super competitive, and it was Mogashan Vaults. Remember the dog boss? 133 wipes on normal dog boss.
Oh, that's
130. Now, to be fair, it was overtuned. It got nerfed by over 30%.
Yeah, that's still.
But you can't be that competitive.
Yeah, that's not very competitive. 130 on normal first boss. That's say Livy, you know.
Willow Katie has Invincible, Ashes of Alar, and one other super rare mount, and she got all of them within the first 15 tries. I still don't have Ashes. It's the only mount I really want. I do have Mimiron's head though, so
yeah, I was about to say you have Mim's head, so it's pretty impressive.
Katie and I don't talk about mounts. we just don't talk about it. She brings out mounts. I'm like, I'm going to the store. Will I ever come back? I don't know. One time it might be one. It might be one too many. I really hate though. I've made enough to be over the cap now to buy a Brutosaur.
There you go. You have to pull that from the auction, the black market auction house.
Black market auction house now.
Yeah. Be fun.
Anyways, okay, all right, chat. I get it. Chat, I get it. Shut up. We're not talking about Overwatch. I get it. Let's talk about Overwatch. Let's talk about the news. Did you guys see the new Torghast nerfs, by the way? I'm just kidding. I'm joking. All right, we've got a lot to talk about, and I think kind of the big one that happened this week is NYXL has officially kind of been fleshed out. And I think I don't know if this is final or if they're adding any more, but we've got a lot more information about who's going to be anchoring down the NYXL in 2021. So we have Guangbung from Team Cat as a kind of hit scan DPS. Flora, same thing. Feather and Ivy in the flex support roles. Yakpung on main tank. Bianca on off tank still. Jonak staying at flex support. And then Friday coming in at main support. That's NYXL 2.0. We've talked about NYXL a lot, but it's always been in a speculative voice on how are they going to keep these players and still build a winning roster, or how much capital can they cash to keep having such a successful franchise despite maybe not having the most wins or any titles or anything like that. So
I mean, there's a lot here to kind of unpack, but without much to say. If I'm going to be like completely honest, I think people are probably going to have really low stocks on Yakpung, but I think that's pretty unwarranted.
Ooh boy,
I understand where I think a lot of the criticism comes from, just because Toronto of 2019 was so underwhelming. That's not the same player, nor is this the same team. So I think a kind of a fresh take on him needs to kind of be applied. I actually think he's probably going to do very well for himself. And if he was actually to change like the name and, just remove the nameplates and compare the two performances, I think by the end of this season, I think you'd be surprised that this is Yakpung. Ivy joining this roster, I think, gives them a lot of firepower just inherently. And then added to that, you have a bunch of like rookie players that, I'm not going to lie, I have no bearing whatsoever as of yet as to how good they're going to be or what they're going to be able to do. So it seems to be well built. There's depth there, which I enjoy. I'd like to see a little bit more in terms of support. But, if Corona and COVID is to be pinching as many pennies as it sounds like, I think this is a fine venture into the mid-season and then maybe reevaluating things as they come in. I think it's a great idea for them to kind of try new things, try adding rookies, play the field. I think that's great. Yeah, I generally enjoy it.
Okay, so I wrote 10K words of power rankings this week, which you're going to be annoyed with over this season. I don't think it's a Christmas season, I would say. I don't think it's a badly built lineup. Yeah. There are some question marks for me here, especially okay, so for those who don't know, Feather was a pretty contested player. I think just personally, I know five different teams have brought up that name as them being interested and wanting to pursue maybe. And NYXL in the end got the
bid.
What dropped there?
Is it a light?
This
I know.
Thing won't stay on the wall. Bro, I've taped it. I've command stripped it. I've duct taped it.
Hot glue.
The only thing I haven't done is I have heavy duty Velcro strips, but it's gonna rip the paint right off the walls.
Probably not a good idea if you want that to
nail it down or something. I don't know.
I've cleaned the wall, and there's no reason why it shouldn't stick. Now I just look like an idiot. No one's gonna believe I have a pro setup now.
Maybe you need an exorcist though. Maybe it's a ghost that's ripping it off.
Holy shit!
Maybe that's why Cho's dark.
Son of a bitch, you might be right.
Son of a bitch, I'm in.
Piss off, ghost.
Now, in regards to DPS, Feather, this isn't a weird rumor stirring of we tried him out. He seemed okay. He's half baked. Talks.
No.
This seemed
we wanted this guy. as like our first or second priority on the flex DPS role. And I think inherently for Feather, and I don't want to, like, it sounded like teams that were, should I say this? So my current assumption is that the New York Excelsior will be playing the season in South Korea again next year. And my understanding is that it could have been the selling point to some of those players to go to the NYXL because of that reason. And I think Feather, like, the name popped up a lot. It's interesting that you bring it onto a team that also has Ivy. That seems like, did we really realistically have like any double projectile lineups in the past in terms of compositions?
No,
or
I mean, it's been a stretch. I did have to do some digging recently for some content that I participated in, and it has been a long time since something even remotely like that has been played. But I think that does sell Ivy a little short, just because I think his tracer is very, very strong. Like, his flank hit scan is definitely accessible. So I think it's a little bit more than that. Like, maybe Feather leans more heavily strictly projectile, where Ivy can kind of be a little bit more flexible, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't fully understand it. What I will say is the general feedback, especially from the community, is that okay, I'm going to watch the name. Sorry, I dumb German tongue can't pronounce Guangbong or Guangbong. Is a nut. So, like, really good
Team Cat guy.
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard the team before, so knowing that they have some players from said team,
right?
Very interesting. Has me, piqued my interest, let's say.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Team Cat was the academy team of Team CC, which is weird.
That's a Kenobi question, and Kenobi is here, so because chime in.
It's an academy team of an academy team, and Cat was only stopped by Team CC in their run eventually. Otherwise, Guangbong was just
I was under the assumption that Team Cat stopped themselves. I thought they just kind of like disbanded.
Oh no! Like in the tournament, in a specific tournament.
Yeah. In one of the
Joe.
weeks.
Like, Team CC didn't show up with guns and force them to disband. That's not what I said. But I think the DPS lane is easily the strongest part of this roster. I think Jonek probably still, like, I remember this notion popping up that people said Jonek is like doesn't have it anymore, and then I asked around just to see, like, the vast majority of people just still consider Jonek to be a top 3 flex support throughout 2020. Still got it. He's just not as outstanding because also Violet, Twilight, and these guys exist.
Everybody has stepped up, and you can't have it. It's not a meta game where you can like just feed him resources and let him just pump.
Yes,
right. Like, it's not the same game. That mildly tilts me.
I think Fridays might be a problem. I don't know why this team cannot sign a really good main support. Maybe though they understand something about the role that is different. That's an interesting, by the way, philosophical debate that's currently going on in the Overwatch League, where I would say, okay, how do I describe? Okay, let's call it the FD God or Moth type of bag. Or FD God is maybe Slime would be a better one. Lee J Gone would. Okay, let's say the Lee J Gone and the Moth type of bag. Do you want on your main support to have a mechanical nut that will just have like the ability to pop off builds like beats really quickly because aim has the boot mechanics, the movement mechanics? Or do you want someone that is more cerebrally inclined, has the ability to command like strategy, like pace of your game? Do you want someone that picks up stuff quickly, reads the game well, has good awareness, that type of stuff? So Moth against Lee Jae-gon if you want, right? Even though it's like to sort of like you guys get that it's not like Moth has muscular dystrophy and like can't aim or something. She's still very good at that. And then Lee Jae-gon is also not a feeding
completely silent. Yeah,
but no, he actually is a feeding papaya. But yeah, no, but so in that regard, I like a lot of teams have told me different things from what they want. Like some teams still have this like the idea that a higher share of shot calling should come from the main support role.
Right.
And then other teams have emphasized that they don't have the idea of a shot caller anymore. So for instance, Mayhem told me how they are moving is the guy that has the ultimate and has the viewpoint and has a plan in their head should make the call. So everyone calls depending on the situation. If you have a beat and you know that you need to negate something, you call that. And if you have a blade and you see an angle and you see an opportunity, you call the nano, for instance, on you or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So it's much more fluid than having a shot caller. And I think depending on that, you adjust your demands on what you have need to have for your main support. But I will say from a profile point of view, like this guy comes from the worst team in Korean contenders, right? And that doesn't necessarily have to say anything bad. So did Fledder.
It's true.
But he also isn't the guy that sort of stood out. Now I haven't asked around what the scrim said. Like, yeah, I asked briefly 2 people if they had any opinion. They didn't even invite him or like got an application or whatever. So he wasn't in their trials. So it's hard. I'll have to ask a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not super high there. And then I think the 10th line's fine. Dude, like this team would be, it feels like it would be a good team generally. It's just very small. And the field in Asia is nuts if they end up playing.
I mean, the
there.
field overall is insane. Like even if you want to make it domestic, like I think this team, I don't know. I'm not super familiar. I really would like to see them in action. But this might be a vacuum good team, but then when you compare them to some of the larger rosters, could not be up to NYXL's standards in a way, let's say. To your point with the kind of debate between, mechanical or cerebral when it comes to main support, it seems like NYXL has leaned very historically to one side, and it feels very much that they go after intangibles. After speaking to a member of their coaching staff, it sounded like Anima was definitely a big part in their leadership. So is that where Friday kind of steps in, especially with the context that you're providing? Seems almost kind of likely at this point. And as much as the roster changes, does the system change, I wonder? And I think that this is very much not a system team in terms of how they go about doing things. Well, sort of how they go about doing things. But I think that they in general need a big retooling, and that's what we see so far, right? With a lot of rookie players coming in, a lot of new faces, a lot of big name changes. But does the strategy change? Does the overall mechanic of the team, the idea of the team, the system, does that change with this? And I think that's the one feature that I hope does change about the NYXL. They really can't rest on their laurels much anymore, as much as I kind of hope they do. And I hope they go back to being the ultra passive, very stylistic team in terms of their strategies. But if they want to compete, maybe not the best idea.
So this is the question, right? This is the big question that everybody is asking about NYXL is this the squad that can pick up the torch or the mantle or whatever from NYXL season 1, 2, and 3? Arguably one of the most consistently well-performing team, especially if you don't consider playoffs and those types of performances. Is this the team to pick up that mantle, continue, or are we taking a step back here, and is NYXL going to kind of step back from being almost that kind of pristine organization that everybody kind of looked up to, wanted their branding, wanted their players, wanted that marketability, wanted those results. Is that team in here? Or no?
I don't think so. I really have a hard time believing that this is the same slow-paced, pristine, defensive team, and I think that's fine. I don't think that this is going to net NYXL fans the same level of, you know, successes they have in the past, but I think for the future of the org, for the future of the game, at least when it pertains to New York, it's probably for the best. I think they need, or they have needed to kind of really flip the table, change things up for this team, because they can't not but return to these bad habits of being passive isn't the word, but being slow to make changes, slow to move, to engage. It just kind of plagues them. And then when they try, it looks just overly messy. And I think that probably dissuades them from doing so. And then they go back and lean harder into, you know, their bad habits, or, you know, what we perceive them to be bad habits. I think this is going to be a quicker team, or at least it's what it seems like they want it to be. They want that, you know, young blood to come in here. Ivy historically has been, at times at least, overly aggressive. Very much the spearhead of Toronto back in the day. Can be very, very, you know, had an impressive performance on Philly, but, you know, definitely points them in a direction that I think that will be very successful for them. So, yeah, I don't think this is the NYXL of old. I think this is, the mantle is, you know, buried for now, as much as I kind of wish it wasn't. I think they're moving. They've taken the other side of the fork in the road, and I think they're trying to catch up with the pack.
And to be fair, building a roster that's just an elaboration or even an improvement on NYXL season 1 through 3. It's not just like some names you punch in a spreadsheet and then, you know, set up some Zoom calls. Like that's not how it works. So I think people kind of really easily kind of want to talk about, like if you want a better team, sign better players. Let's just be really clear that that's just not like how things work. That's just not how it works.
Definitely not at the most. I mean, how to put this? I think there is some correlation there where it's just
season 1 and season 2.
Sure.
When there was so much talent that was unsigned and so much talent that was not even being scouted.
Yeah.
Or honestly underage too.
100%. I don't think that's that dissimilar here. I think there is still a lot of talent left on the table for whatever reason. Can't necessarily speculate as to why. I think there is some correlation to like good players equal at least like a decent result, but when it comes to like peak performance, I think there has to be more to it, to your point. Like there is more than just like throwing together a super team a la London season 1 and just hoping it works, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially like look in the main the main tank role.
Mm-hmm.
Who's really there?
At this point, not too many, but I think that's more of a question as to like the shallowness of that role, just in general. And it feels like it's always been that way.
Yeah, it's been best, and then
I think off tank isn't that much better.
I mean, off tank still has Gebushi, Janu, Meko unsigned, right?
At least off the top of my head.
I mean, I don't think that they'll bring Meko back. Maybe they will, but
well, maybe not for New York, but just in general.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, you just kind of look at these, and again, these are pause chat. What world was this player higher than this player? These are like aggregate rankings from the Discord. Pay less attention to the order of them. Pay more attention to the names on the list. You know, but largely my point is is there's nobody here that I can see for either the tank roles, the main support role, specifically, that all of a sudden turn around and make this team a brilliant successor to NYXL season 1 through 3 without incurring a lot of risk.
Yeah.
And I guess that's my point. It's not like, I mean, I think it's really easy to be like, okay, well, unsign one of each DPS, bring on Dia and Rascal, and then we'll do Yakpung. There's not really anybody else, but then we'll bring on Meko and Jano. Why not? Jonak is fine, and then we'll bring on 3 main supports and let them duke it out. Like, that's just not realistic.
I agree. I think the one thing that could be the argument is, why were they not able to compete on these other free agents that were against other because they are like, they have a lot going for them, right? Like they are a consistently good organization. Why wouldn't you want to play there, right?
Why didn't players want to play there? Or why didn't NYXL want to invest the money to get the really good players that were on this list just 2-3 months ago?
That, and why is, like, maybe it will develop, but depth is also still an issue. I suppose, like, most North American organizations are sort of under this spell of restrictions. Not everyone. Shock has a pretty big, I think they have 11 people, but the most North American organizations, and it's a big handicap. Also going for the Fusion, like they're currently 7 going into Asia. I think, like, for Fusion, I think there's a possibility where they hit Korea, they scrim there, the meta changes once or twice, and they see further adjustments that might be needed.
And then they make set adjustments.
And then they make those adjustments. But I think it's going to be a large disadvantage going into the season if you're still playing hero pools and you only have a 7-man roster.
For sure.
And like, I feel like a lot of people in the Overwatch League realize this as well. It's just like, it's the competitive side against the economic side, right? And them competing in Asia hurts them in that regard. Like, Spark is large, Chengdu is large. All of those have academy teams as well that they can source from. Scrim, whatnot. And like, it's really only, if I'm right, the Fusion, and then if the NYXL would go over, only them that have these small rosters. And that's going to be a competitive disadvantage. I think, like, a lot of people think that if your specialist on a hero didn't play that season, that he was useless. When you have to think about it as a thing of probability. In many other, like, worlds, that player that didn't play had a meta switch up on them in other probability scenarios where they then became the star player or whatever, or saved that particular thing, right? Like you didn't necessarily say to your off-tank player, oh yeah, you kind of got to have a Roadhog player. But if you did, that's kind of a big thing. And if you had a Roadhog specialist, theoretically, you might have been able to flex around a little bit. Double off-tank was not something that you anticipated, but if you had 2 off-tanks, that was a boon for you, right? So, yeah, that's also, like, it's just going to be really rough competing against these large rosters with way more resources at their disposal coming into hero pools. Like, it's just going to be rough.
And I mean, like, to support your kind of statement, like, look at a lot of the great champions in Overwatch history and think about how they kind of landed at that position. As we progress further, I think it's going to only become more and more prestigious when teams actually do repeat. So the Lunatic Highs, the San Francisco Shocks, even just, like, not even defending a title, but winning multiple, I think is, like, very impressive. So the NYXL of maybe season 1 and their multiple stage finishes are incredibly impressive. But they always seem to have exactly what they need when they need it. And that only is more consistent. That only adds more consistency with depth, right? When you look at a Spark, you can see where and how things might necessarily play out. Having Shy for certain metas, having Godsby for certain other metas, having Somansu be able to kind of flex where you need him to, right? That obviously is something you wish you could have everywhere, but like Yiska's saying, it's, you know, their hands are tied. The core foundation, the principle of the Overwatch League has been completely undermined with, you know, the advent of the global pandemic we're all kind of suffering through. So it's, you know, if you're an investor, if you're a team owner, if a CEO, whatever, you know, financier, what do you know, how much confidence do you have in this? We don't know yet. We really have no information. Obviously, I'm sure they do, but, you know, from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem like such a great gambit right now, let's say.
Yeah.
So stuff.
The Jester's gambit.
A little bit. Botez even, let's say. Shout outs to the real ones.
Yeah.
All right.
With envy.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's enough on NYXL. We have a lot more we need to talk about. And there's one team that we've just kind of skirted around because it always felt like they kind of made one announcement here, one announcement there, and then all of a sudden you look and the team's totally different. I'm going out of order on the notes on this one, guys. Seoul Dynasty.
Oh.
So Seoul Dynasty have changed a lot, and since we're coming from NYXL, I think that this makes a ton of sense. And that is, we have added Saebyeolbe and Animo to that team.
Right.
I kind of like it.
Really?
I'm growing on it.
We're fighting.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Off tanks, bro.
I'm kind of liking it. There's a weird world, right? Maybe I'm overly romanticizing this, right? First, not only does this set up the league for a fantastic narrative of, NYXL didn't want Saebyeolbe after giving him an entire merch line. They threw him to the wayside. But now he returns on the Seoul Dynasty, and there's already a rivalry to brew, right? And to make content about. So big ups there. That's fantastic, just from a selfish perspective, right? But on top of that, if you can actually slot in whatever intangibles that Saebyeolbe brings as a leader, as a captain, shot caller, let's say, and if I'm to believe the Seoul Dynasty coaching staff, which I kind of have to, right? That Animo does participate in that leadership structure while not being, and again, I'm very staunchly against his mechanics. I've never been a big Animo fan, but at least there's something intangible there that, you know, you can kind of latch onto. If you can plug that into boosting in a weird multiplicator style of way onto a duo like a Gesture and a Prophet and Fitz and these kinds of all-star players, there might be something here. There might be something to this that could be very Seoul-esque, very London-esque, where it probably isn't going to click soon, but when it does, they might actually just win a title. There's something about this team that if it works, it's gonna be scary.
It's because of rosters like this that we don't let Yiska show his webcam from the waist down. And I'm really surprised that Yiska is not just really happy about seeing all these old guard founders of competitive Overwatch on the same team.
Look, dude. I feel like okay. Let me preface this in the right way.
Great. Please take 12 minutes and preface like the most simple thing.
I'm going to say leadership is important, right?
It is.
It's an important feature, and it can definitely solve some issues, and it might here. It's just so weird to me that we're talking about Saebyeolbe like he's some globuli that's going to cure everything. Like,
I wasn't naming names. You know, I didn't want to throw names around.
Joe, remind me. Why do we think that Saebyeolbe is a great leader? That moment? What's the moment?
You know, the flower moment. I think
the flower moment. Yes. What happened in the flower moment? Did they win that?
No, they didn't. They lost.
Like it's a good moment. I'm not shitting on that, but come on, man. Like it's not going to like turn them around in any meaningful way, most likely, right?
Agreed, right? 100%. It's not going to turn them around. I hope, and this is again, it's not something reasonable. Look at the past shows, look at the regular season on this very podcast, and look at my comments about the New York Excelsior. I have not wanted Saebyeolbe to start for, let's say, 13 months now, going on 14. He should not be starting. He should not probably start for this team. He probably should be a player coach at this point. But if he can be slotted in, sure, if you want it. I mean, you said it, not me. You said it, not me. Just saying. So,
okay, what is he known for?
Leadership and intangibles.
And which hero?
Jean jackets.
If it was a hero, he would be known for jean jackets. It's true. Probably Tracer, right?
Oh, how weird that the only other top tier Tracer in Asia over the entire 2020 season is on his team, and this guy is way better too.
It's true. I can't argue there.
Okay. I mean, he must have some backup DPS. So what else can he play? What is he usually otherwise? McCree. Oh my God, Fitz. Like
he can't play both.
Did you watch?
He can't play both at the same time.
Point. This man is going to stand next to the stage like a social worker, just going, "It's all fine, guys. We don't need to flame each other." And he's going to be paid a player salary for that. Like, I don't know. Okay, here's where I might be wrong.
Is going to be the whole meta 2021, and you're going to look like an absolute buffoon.
Yes, then it's Profit and Fitz.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Mechanic
about
again. If we were just to measure the best players on the roll, then yeah, I'd agree. But if I'm to believe the narrative, if I'm to believe,
Profit has an elbow thing, doesn't he? Like a wrist.
No,
thing?
That's Bird Ring. Bird Ring in the wrist.
Oh man, they're all the same.
Yeah, close.
The hell comes from the same team.
I mean, not too far off, I suppose. At one point, they did. I struggle with the players that you look at with the eye test and you're just like, they're not up to snuff, but they always seem to maintain the roster, right?
Sure.
I do put a little
that exists, and it could be the case. I'm like slightly playing this up here, right?
No, but, of course, no. I get that, and I also understand where they're coming from, where maybe they put him on something new. I'm not saying he's gonna role swap. I'm not saying he's gonna do something absurd, but if he's to practice a sombra, if he's to have a role within the team to kind of do facilitate starting time, to actually see stage time, I think it probably is on something a little bit more niche, something a little bit more pointed. So you don't have Profit doing everything he can to carry this team. You don't need, I think you want this team to have a little bit more rigidity. I don't think you want more flu, this dynamic, let Profit do whatever he needs to, let Fitz kind of like float around. Now you have Saebyeolbe. Now you have a little bit more leadership, at least in the server. And I think that could be enough.
What I'll say, I could even see Saebyeolbe significantly improving and by getting out of that NYXL system, because sometimes you just aren't the player for that team anymore. I will also say that he is still a very good Tracer, arguably the second best last year in APAC.
Do you know what's most important though about Saebyeolbe? Do you know what he does?
Brings the
marry
fans.
one woman,
has a dog,
sells the merch, brings the fans.
Yes, I understand. I'm not a hater for that
the
move.
Merch, brings
Saebyeolbe
the fans
should be in Overwatch League 2021. That's not my problem. In my mind, it's like, why Seoul? It's like,
well, you want to put him on Boston?
No, but
does he want to go to? And here's the thing:
Outlaws.
If you're Saebyeolbe, it's not just about who's going to sign him. It's also about where he wants to go. Like, how much longer does he have left as a real player, right? So you come out and you've got this Tom Brady moment, right? And maybe this is a kind of a shitty example. Let's use a Brett Favre moment. This is American football. Yiska won't get it at all, so then he can't use some stupid tangential story to disprove it. It's perfect. So Brett Favre, already Hall of Famer. He's kind of done. He retires or whatever. He's like, but maybe I play for the right team, for the right contract. You know what? I would play, come back. He gets to come to the Minnesota Vikings, do that thing. You know, we see this all the time in sports where people who are ready to retire will keep playing to play on the team that they finally wanted to play
The right
on.
team. Right.
And that just might be the Saebyeolbe moment as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I'm not criticizing.
Kenobi, you're banned for 10 minutes for bringing that up, by the way. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Get the out of here.
So I'm not a hater of Saebyeolbe. That's not what I'm trying. And it might very well be we don't have any insights into Seoul, how they work as a team, and maybe that's exactly what they need, or that's another tool that they will use in order to fix the issues they might have had. I just wonder if other rosters could have made more use of him, because especially in APAC. Okay, there's a couple of really good rookies coming up, to be fair, but yeah, like it's weird that they landed there. I think for Saebyeolbe himself, he probably wants to play in Seoul. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I think that's probably most of it, is that he's not ready to kind of hang it up just yet. Thinks he can, bring something to Seoul and wants to kind of chase a title before, his inevitable, retirement. Everybody has a shelf life to him in more ways than one. And, I think the doors always, I think the doors only continue to open once he does, decide to kind of step away and move into other positions, whether that be coaching or management. I think he'd be a fantastic manager. Speaking of managers, Runner's out here doing the dang thing out in Gauntlet, still being as goofy as ever. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he continues to do it, but one of the most fantastic managers. It's tough to say coach. I really don't know how much he coaches those teams, just because of how goofy it is, and that's not to discredit his game knowledge or anything. Significant. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Like a fantastic manager, coach, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how he's still not on a team. Somebody needs to throw him a bag, him and his wife.
No, very easily, because he is building the team, and like the only bags he wants are big bags of investors, so his team can be bigger, right? Like
I don't know. I don't know why that isn't, like, if you can't get in the Overwatch League and you're kind of like interested in Overwatch, I don't know why you're not looking at least supporting a team like Runaway.
Sure, but I don't know what anyone would offer someone like Runner in this current situation that they're in that could be remotely attractive to him, unless you're literally like throw $1 million at him a year in order to run your organization.
Sure, yeah,
and even
course.
that would probably still not be as attractive as what they are building with Runaway, branching out into other esports and everything like that. So I think that was possible. I think the fact that he had military series still to go through was probably an obstacle.
Of course, yeah.
But at the same time, I think they were always thinking bigger. Like I don't know. Like it feels
like tough to imagine that, during the grandma sweater, original Runaway. But at this point, yeah, it's undeniable that I think that they probably could and should, venture out and probably do extremely well. So it's not necessarily just within Overwatch, or bringing him to the Overwatch League so much as it is going to support somebody who is successful in what they do and building something very, very special. I'd just support a team or an endemic esports or going over and being like, yeah, we're going to partner with this guy because he seems to know something we don't. He gets it. So we're going to give him a bag and let him do what he wants with it. I don't know exactly what kind of business that is. I don't know what kind of, return on investment you're going to get there. But if there's anybody that deserves, a kudos in that department, I think Runner certainly does.
I think the reason to sort of explain why it probably might not be that interesting for a Runner is think back, let's say 4 or 5 years. Had you asked like Ocelot to be a general manager for your brand, do you think he would have taken it? Very likely not.
Probably
And I
not,
think
yeah.
he has the same entrepreneurial mind, extremely smart in everything. It's also something to be said about his family, of course. He has a family business with an also incredibly capable wife that they can just build this esports giant if they want. And it wouldn't surprise me that if a couple of things went right for them in terms of the competitive success of their other franchises or not franchises, but other games, that this could blow up into a multi-gaming org that will see the type of success that, for instance, a G2 sees right now. So
100%.
he has the personality. Like even the streaming would probably be more lucrative for him. Like there's just too many draws for a guy like this. I think that ship sailed probably after season 1. Like when you don't get him in there, it was probably over.
Agreed. Makes sense. I hope he gets the dues there. And, you know, to Saebyeolbe's point, to kind of bring it back for a moment, this is a player who I don't see in the same exact light, but in terms of the leadership, I think the forwardness of how he is, what players have said about him, how much respect he garners and you know, seems to get. I only trust that he could easily step into a very similar role as a runner. I think he could probably take a team from, you know, maybe not the depths of contenders, but, you know, really add something to the coaching staff of a team. As a former player, I think that is something that an esport, as it's not new by any means, but I think Overwatch will consistently always be very young. And to buy somebody into a coaching regime or structure, I think having a former player in that way that people can know and people can respect, a legend of the game, I think does wonders for them. So yeah, to your former, you know, your point, bring him to like maybe an APAC team who, a Charge or a Spark who's, you know, rebuilding, and has him as an assistant coach before promoting him in future years. I think it would be fantastic. Bringing him to like a fully Korean, you know, Outlaws, let's say, for example, if that was to be a thing, or, you know, a Florida Mayhem in the future. I think there's always doors opening if he decides to step away and pursue that. So yeah, I am weirdly bullish about Seoul. It's not something that I would ever think I would be, but I am, in a way. I am.
All right. We're going to talk about one last team this week before we get out of here. And that is going to be none other than the Paris Eternal. Lots of new signings. Well, not new signings, but lots of signings. We just really haven't talked about Paris outside of what they did last year on the show since. So let's break it down. On the DPS, you got Tsuna, Oniga, and Naga. At tank, you've got Don and Elivote. On support, you've got Khan and Neptuno. That's where we're at currently. So we are at the roster minimum of 7. GetAmazed, new head coach, by the way. And it sounds like there's one more player signing coming.
I don't hate this team. I really have a hard time judging where they're going to finish or perform, but it looks good on paper, at least. I feel like in both, in the same breath, I have to temper expectations and also like boost expectations, because I think people look at this and go, oh, these aren't names I'm necessarily familiar with because I only pay attention to the Overwatch League, and these players haven't either started or performed well in the last, 6 months. So I think they're bad. And then you have like the contenders heads who are just like, oh my God, this team's going to overperform so heavily. It's just like, whoa. Okay, let's slow down a little bit. Like this season in particular is going to be incredibly stacked. So let's, calm down a little bit. I think this team, it's so hard. I really don't know how to sit on this team. Like it feels good. Like they look good on paper, but I don't know exactly. Really? Yeah, I do like this team. Huh. I think Naga has a lot of promise. I really liked Onigad's performance last season. I think Elivote's very strong. I think Neptuno has much to prove. Tsuna as well. I'm not as familiar as some of with the rookies as much, but I've heard them I've heard good things
half
about
the
them.
Team. I'm just kidding.
Two players. Yeah, I've heard good things about GetAmazed as well. I've gained a lot of respect and kind of admiration for Avala kind of making a scramble and doing as well as she has. Consistent kudos to her, doing extremely hard work with this kind of rebuild. So big shout outs to her. I find myself kind of cheering quietly for Paris. I don't know exactly how well they'll do, but I hope they do well.
I am cheering for this team. I don't think, as it stands currently, I am very confident in this team. This is a team.
You are very confident, or you're not?
I'm not. This is a team that I think would be overperforming if they qualify for playoffs.
Yeah. Like a direct qualification?
I would say,
or just play-ins.
Even play-ins.
Yeah.
I think that would be the goal for this team. The goal for this team is to not finish bottom 5.
Joe,
yeah.
Come on, bro.
Sorry, dude.
Like, this is one of the 3 worst teams in the Overwatch League next year. 100%. Do the rankings. Like,
I have to, but I need a little bit more stability in terms of, and we're getting there. I need to actually start looking and start to early measure these teams. And it very well could be towards the bottom. I'm gonna have to have a heartfelt discussion with myself on exactly where to put the Paris Eternal, because
I'm going to catch hands for some of my opinions that I put into my power rankings. Like, my power rankings are like snapshot right now. How would they play, right?
Sure, of course, yeah.
But I like who the bottom 3 teams are. I felt pretty confident on. And
you think this is one of them?
Yes. Okay. Are they clearly better than London?
It's tough to say. London doesn't have much right now.
Okay, if you don't know, you don't know. Are they clearly better than Atlanta?
No.
Are they better than Valiant?
I don't even remember who's on Valiant these days. Probably not. Probably not.
Are they better than Outlaws?
That one seems like a toss-up to me. I really do not know. I really do not know on that team. That could be poor, or it could be very, very strong. I think the coaching staff on the Outlaws has me much more excited, so I'll say the Outlaws are better by a small margin, at least off the top of my head.
Interesting. I think they are clearly worse. And the only team that is
the Outlaws are clearly worse, or
no, Paris.
Okay.
And the only team that is very clearly worse than the Eternal are the Vancouver Titans.
Vancouver Titans, yeah.
I think that's not a hard argument to make.
Yeah.
I think they might be in their own tier. But other than that, dude, like the field just got so stacked. You will hurt. We will
I'm
sit
already
here at a more reasonable time frame sometime in April, going to figure out like where we want to put these teams in the power rankings. It's going to hurt, dude. Like, this is not a team that, like, it is possible.
Maybe I think we'll just out and not do it this year. No power rankings.
I think they have like a range where they could get in. By the way, you guys are not going to like where I put Boston, guys. You're not going to like it. Notice how I didn't mention them in the listings of the teams. Anyway, so like, I think that there is only so much you can do with what you're given there. I think, like, if I saw an interview with Avala saying like she also reinforced the idea of going for a full European team. I think that's a bad choice if you can avoid doing that. Now, bad choice competitively.
Sure.
I think like maybe it's a good choice in terms of like, this is your budget and you don't want to spend it on visa lawyers or whatever. Then like maybe you cannot do more and whatever, right? But this is already scraping the bottom of the table. also, as a conception for the Overwatch League, if this team does well, it would be terrible for so many professionals involved, because it once again would be like this. Yeah, but why are we paying so much? Like, why are we not, like giving everyone min and then like just 7 guys and have them play from a shed and like, that not saying that's true, the last part, right? But like that proof of concept needs to die, and it needs to die really, really hard in order for people to get like money they can take home after their career.
Do you think, okay, weirdly meta question, do you think that does though, ever? With how particular of a question Overwatch always seems to ask in terms of like what you need to win, like a small monthly tournament, let's say, because it feels like that's what some of these investors are looking at, like, oh, why is this team performing so well in this monthly tournament instead of over the course of a season, right? So if that's the case, and Overwatch continues to ask very particular questions, and maybe that question is best answered by a team that just happens to have, the right set of tools, but have bought them at a very, very low price at your bargain bin, bookstore. Does that go away? Does that notion of, the minimum player salary narrative go away if you can gamble consistently and have such a wide, like if you were to have a wide roster of 12 players all on minimum and just continuously gamble well, does that stop ever with this game if we continue to have these massive changes? I struggle to think it does, right?
The thing is, it doesn't work that often. I suppose it worked with Valiant. I think it might, like, you can say that maybe the Titans rebuild was pretty okay as well. And but most of the time, but most of the time it is pretty rough for these teams.
Oh, for sure. I think it requires a very specific set of people to be able to do it well, but I really struggle with seeing that narrative in particular go away. I don't know if Paris will be the vehicle of that narrative. I think it's either between London or Paris, and as much as I like some of the players on Paris, I do kind of lean slightly one way, and it's not Paris's direction.
Here's the one thing, like, I did an interview with Pre, and one thing that stood out to me is that after a certain point, money is not that important to players anymore.
Yeah, of course.
So in season 2, it was all about money, right? Like, everyone wanted the highest salary, and that's what they wanted to get out of it. But there are things about your contract that can make life so, like, the quality of life you have in a respective team so much worse that it's not worth it. And players have slowly realized this. Like, the examples he brings up is they want to play with good teammates, want to win, want to have great living conditions, want to have like none of the organizational hiccups that might happen. They want to be like Korean players, for instance, sometimes want to be able to travel home without difficulty. They want to be in an environment where they are trusted and respected as well. They want to have smooth relationships and that type of stuff. And it is not only about money, but making sure that this works also then requires money on the side of the org. Maybe not necessarily in terms of salary, but like it costs money to have great practice facilities and whatnot, right? So like, I think it is a rough state of affairs if constant minning of salaries and roster sizes is successful. And I think that even teams that have lived this, for instance, like Boston, seem to be sort of getting away from that. Like, I don't want to overinterpret anything in that regard from how the Boston Uprising are moving. But if certain things are happening that are rumored to happen at the moment, namely the WGS players, then this is a roster that has once again attracted like top tier rookies, has done so in a way where they have maintained their academy roster. They will then also, if assuming nobody is fired, will have one of the bigger rosters in the Overwatch League. So they bought the dip. Boston is now out of whatever you think the min is, because like I don't think Boston even really mint like some of the teams are minning this year, right? So
yeah.
I think like they have like if that is at all true, and I'm not saying I'm not giving you additional weighting on how if that is true or whatever. I'm just saying then they are one of the teams that are currently buying the dip of the current off season, and they should reap the benefits of it. And I think that it's an interesting angle. I do think that at 50K salary, it's probably not something people could feel super comfortable on, no matter what the situation is that you're living under in when you're playing there, because those are resources that won't help you much once you're out of the Overwatch League. 100K might, 150K might very well as well. That's like 150K means you probably can get through like a degree based on your savings, for instance, right? So yeah,
unless you live in Northern California.
when it comes to some of those contractual things that maybe have been swaying players one way or the other, has the notion of security come up at all?
Security in what sense? Oh, health, you mean?
Could be health, could be contractual guarantees.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's exactly the follow-up question that I asked. And that depends on the player, is the feedback.
Of course, 100%. But is that like more increase though?
I think for some, I don't think that was particularly answered by Pri in the interview. He does give an elaborate answer, and he says that some players are just like, I'm hot shit, dude. Like, you're not gonna fire me. Like, right? Like,
fair enough.
So some of them might not value the security there. But yeah, I think security and like being able to negotiate these 30-day like windows out of your contract is probably going to be a development going forward in the Overwatch League, that people want this out of their contract.
Yep, I agree.
Oh, all right. Here's the thing. We got to get out of here. It's time. This is fun. We should do this more often, like every Wednesday. Let's just do this every Wednesday. Make it think.
Every Wednesday.
We were gonna try to do an impromptu game night, but Yiska didn't want to.
Yeah, I have friends
that aren't us, apparently.
Yeah, true. No, like we have like a watching a show together on Netflix type of date.
Oh, so illegal. Got it.
What? Wait, no, not illegal. It's Netflix party. You sync the different Netflix account. One person can press play and then it plays.
Wow. Using
I didn't know that,
physical Netflix?
Physical Netflix on like multiple accounts, yeah. Paid accounts. Not illegal. Not streaming
you
it over
all hit
Discord.
play at the same time?
No, there's a tool that syncs up, like makes one the lobby leader. You
tool?
log in.
A first party
Netflix
tool? Or a third party Chrome browser extension? Please tell me. Say it out loud for everybody.
It's a Chrome browser extension. Okay, I don't think it's illegal.
There it is. All right. So
can't be, right?
$5 plus Patreons will help go to bailing Yiska out of jail.
It's only illegal
called Netflix
here, right?
Party,
it's only
dude.
a felony here.
Like it was called Teleparty. I'm pretty sure Netflix bought it or something, and they like nobody is as audacious to call it Netflix Party with the name rights, right? That's impossible. Maybe not. I don't know.
Who knows?
And we're also taking applications for a new third host while he spends his time, paying off his debt to society. So, big thanks to everybody who hung out today, and a big thank you to all the new subs and resubs, including Boohow, Dulky, Kenobi Cast, Sickles, Coppers, Quiznos Bear, a special brown or a special brownie, Pork Chop Sammy, as well as the gifted sub from Chris. And just coming in now, another one from Pork Chop Sammy. Appreciate it a ton. And a special shout out to Kenobi for that 10-minute timeout for bringing up Minnesota Vikings painful history. I hope you learned your lesson. Big thank you to our patron producers: Refined Bean for Dino, Pin, Battlecrab, Lotion, Rex Zane, Audio Compass, Kasha67, Sharp, Picasso, Nathan, Your Misery, Hunter Tane, Fabled Steven, Roger B. Owen, Chris R34444, Horbjorn. I listen to the podcast whilst on the toilet and in the shower thinking of Yiska, Peace Camper, Anxiety Pokemon, Sir Girthalot, Bronzebot, Boo How, Evan, and Alex S. Thanks so much. Oh, and Generic Joe, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Bing Bong OW. Appreciate it. Think I got them all now there. Yes, thanks so much. If you like the show, want to support, go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. As soon as Yiska is done making plans with other people, we'll do a game night for you and with you all. So we'll keep guilt tripping him on that. And other than that, shout out to the week. Where can people find you? You know what? Yiska, why don't you go second? Volamel, Joe, what's up, dude?
I don't have much to shout out. I'll take this time to do 3 things. I will, in the holiday season, I think it's important to, be thankful for the things you have. And I'm very thankful for my 2, co-hosts. I'm happy we've built like a small little niche community, and I think that's really dope. So thank you all for, supporting us over the years and all that good jazz. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. If you don't, celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a wonderful, next few days or weeks or whatever, holiday you're participating in. And if you're into WoW, complexity limit is nearing the world first kill on Sire Denathrius Mythic. So go check that out.
I've got it open on the screen behind me watching.
So yeah,
really?
that's my 3 shout outs. There you go.
Why do you think I've been so quiet?
Wow. Damn, they got views.
Yeah, right? It's like they should do a new
a big
raid
deal.
every few months. Think of how good that would be for viewership.
Mhm.
What about you, Yiska? What's up?
So today we released a long form interview with Pri. It's 2 hours. I kind of get that it's already like, okay, if you're in the gym and you have nothing better to do, might as well pop it on. If you don't feel like committing to that without knowing what's in there, we have a too long didn't read version. Killed a little bit of my writer's soul, but what I do to please the audiences. Where you can just like get the gist of what was said. But I definitely recommend watching it. Like Pri was a great guest. And yeah, these types of interviews, long form, is something that we kind of want to do more of. So expect more in the new year of that. Also, I sat down and wrote 10K words on power rankings. So that's hitting your feed sometime during the Christmas holiday. It's going to be staggered out 5 pieces. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to look forward to go like when people say ho 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 to me, they might not mean Santa Claus after having read these power rankings. I'm looking forward to it.
There's sometimes when Yiska makes a joke and I can't tell if there's something lost in translation.
Or
my poor mom is falling apart, guys.
yeah, I was kind of wondering
what is going on
how
here?
or when John was going to like chastise you for like actually wrestling your microphone while speaking. Like that's a new low.
It just broke. Like it's just the screw just fell out and it's bent. Yeah, okay, I'm getting a new one.
There we go.
All right.
Jesus
Go
Christ.
ahead. Yeah. Figure it out. Let me know when you're done.
I'm done.
Thanks everybody for hanging out. Hope you had a great one. We love you all. Hope you have a great holiday. We will see you next week. We are going to be doing a show next week as far as I know. So we will be back next week on Wednesday, but hope you still have a great holiday. Hope you get everything that you want from presents and food and good conversation and a healthy socially distanced way, and whatever else you need to stay happy and sane. May you have it all. 2020 is almost over. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.